Okay, we're on to the last day of new material for Unit 8. The last shape that we're going to talk about as far as 3D shapes go is the sphere. Now, you'll notice that for a sphere, there's not three formulas. There's only total surface area and volume. But if we think about it, that makes sense because a sphere doesn't have sides. A sphere, it's continuous. There's no way to say, oh, well, this is a side and this, no, it's continuous all the way around. A basketball is continuous. It doesn't have any edges or corners. It's continuous. So for a sphere, we're just going to have total surface area and volume. So for total surface area, that formula will be 4 pi r cubed. No, r squared. 4 pi r squared. That's total surface area of a sphere. For volume, it's going to be 4/3 pi r cubed. Now I have my cubed. So total surface area is 4 pi r squared. Volume is 4/3 pi r cubed. So notice the only thing you really need is the radius. So we'll just make note, even though y'all probably know this already, I'm just going to make note, r is your radius. That's the only thing you need for spheres. Now for a hemisphere, if you don't know what that means, that is 1/2 of a sphere. It's half of a sphere. For total surface area, we can't just say 2 and say 4 divided by 2 and oh, that's 2 pi r squared. We can't do that because yes, that's the outside, so that's all this part. But then what do we have now? If I cut this in half, I've got a circle that it's sitting on, which is another pi r squared. So for total surface area, our formula is 3 pi r squared. That's for a hemisphere, 3 pi r squared. Volume, it is that easy. Instead of 4/3, you'll just have 2/3 pi r cubed. So for volume, you just simply take half of a normal sphere. Surface area, we've got to add in that extra circle. So 3 pi r squared. Okay, that's our formulas. Those are our formulas. Let's get into examples. So they tell us today we're going to give our answers in terms of pi. So don't put pi in the calculator. So let's look at our picture. The only thing we need is radius. Do they give that to us? Yes, they tell us radius is 9. This is a normal sphere. So we're going to use our two formulas for sphere. So for volume is 4/3 pi r cubed. So 4/3 pi times 9 to the 3rd power. So we'll put everything in the calculator but the pi. In other words, we'll do 4/3 times 9 cubed. And this will give us 972 pi centimeters cubed. So that's our volume. Then we move on to total surface area. So that's going to be 4 pi r squared. So 4 pi r is 9 squared. Put everything but the pi in your calculator. That would give us 324 pi centimeters squared. So there's our first example. Now the next one, it's half of a sphere, or we say it's a hemisphere. So we're going to have to use our formulas for a hemisphere, not a normal sphere. So for volume, it's going to be 2/3 pi r cubed. So we do 2/3 pi. Our radius, it tells us, is 4. So 2/3 pi times 4 cubed. Now, when you do this, you're going to get a fraction back. Since we're dealing with thirds here, just leave it as a fraction. So I'm going to leave this as 128/3 pi. And then our units are meters cubed. So 128/3 pi meters cubed. I'm just going to leave it like that. Then for total surface area, again, this is a hemisphere. So we'll have to use the one that says 3 pi r squared. So we'll do 3 pi times 4 squared. It's going to give us 48 pi meters squared. Okay, so there's the first two problems done. Now let's look at the next one. Next one asks us for the diameter of a sphere and then the resulting surface area that has where the sphere has a volume of 972 pi inches cubed. Okay, so let's see here. Let's think of our formula for the volume of a sphere. We have just a plain sphere here. So it's going to be 4/3 pi r cubed. Okay, so volume they tell us is 972 pi. Plug that in, that's going to be equals 4/3 pi r cubed. The pi's will cancel out because we can divide them. So we're left with 972 equals 4/3 of r cubed. I need to get rid of this 4/3. So I'm going to multiply everything by 3/4. That's the reciprocal. That goes away because it cancels with that. So 3/4 of 972 is 729. And then to get, just like how on the square, you'd tell me, oh, take the square root. Well, on the cube, we can take what's called the cube root. So we're going to take the cube root of 729. And now I don't have access to the Inspire software. At least I don't think I do. Let me check. I think my trial has expired on this computer. So I'm going to check. Yes, my trial has expired, so I can't show y'all. I can't exactly show y'all the where the cube root button is. So in the calculator, one thing you can do is do 729 and then raise it to the 1/3 power. Like just like how you would do to the 3rd power, except you do 1/3 power. So either way, you would get 9 as your radius. So your radius is 9. Now remember, it's asking for diameter, not radius. It wants diameter. Well, how do you get diameter? You do 2 times the radius. So 2 times 9 is 18 inches. So our diameter is 18 inches. Then it asks for surface area. So surface area is 4 pi r squared. We already said r was 9, so 4 pi times 9 squared, which would get us 324 pi inches squared. Okay, there's that example. Now we're on to the last one. They ask us to find the volume of the composite figure and give our answer in terms of pi. So let's see what 2 shapes we have here. Looks like an ice cream cone. But let's see, we have a cone. No, we have a hemisphere on top. We got a hemisphere on top. And we've got a cone on the bottom. So let's find the volume of the hemisphere first. So that formula for a hemisphere, let's see, we said it was 2/3 pi r cubed. 2/3 pi r cubed. That's going to be 2/3 pi, r is 7 cubed. That's going to give us 686 over 3 pi centimeters cubed. So that's the volume of the hemisphere. Now we've got to find the volume of our cone. Well, if we think back to Friday, the volume of the cone was 1/3 BH, which we said we could rewrite that as 1/3 pi r squared times h. So now, let's plug in what we know. 1/3 pi, r is 7 still, squared. We don't know h. This 25 here is our slant height, not the h. So we're going to have to get h. But we can do that because we know the Pythagorean Theorem. So 7 squared plus 8 squared equals 25 squared. 7 squared is 49. 25 squared is 625. Subtract these. We're going to get h squared equals 576. Square root it, and we get h is 24. Ha ha, we got it. So h is 24. So we'll put all this in the calculator except the pi, because they want our answer in terms of pi. And we would get 392 pi centimeters cubed. Okay, so we found the volume of each, but that doesn't give us the volume of, that doesn't give us the total volume. So let's get total. We've got to add them up. So 686 over 3 pi plus 392 pi. Now, if you add these in the calculator, it'll give you something like, or it may give you something like 1862 over 3 pi. And we'd say, oh, that's okay, centimeters cubed. Boom, done. There's our exact answer. We're done. So it's not elegant. It's not really that easy to understand as far as numerically, because you have a fraction in your answer, but it is the exact answer. And those of y'all that know me and those of y'all that don't, hopefully by now you kind of have gotten to know me some, but I like exact. Math is about being exact. Engineering, physics, they're just approximate. Math, I want it to be exact. So that's we're just going to leave that as our total volume. 1862 over 3 pi centimeters cubed. Okay, so there's the notes. Stay tuned for the guided practice.